One of the most important tools that you can get for Blender, especially for hard surface modeling, is Machine Tools add-on. Link in the video description, by the way. This add-on is so powerful. I've been using it since I started Blender, 6 years ago. And I'm serious, I refuse to model without this add-on. It's so goddamn good. It's gonna replace so many mundane tasks and save you so much time. It's insane. Now, in this video, I want to show you 5 tools that are really cool. Okay, we're going to talk about surface slide, we'll talk about pies for alignment, but also the align tool. We're going to talk about an edge constraint tool that's from Deus Ex version. We will also talk about the cursor and origin pie, and lastly we're going to talk about the focus tool. Now, this add-on is so amazing. We also use it in our most basic course for beginners, in the hard surface accelerator course, which, by the way, you can get on our website. The link is in the video description and in the pinned comment underneath the video, and it will teach you all the things you need to know about the menus, the tools, the whole hard surface workflow, how to model, how to become better artists, how to understand detailing, the whole process, including rendering. There are also amazing bonuses, and if you're gonna go for the platinum version, you're also gonna have access to coaching, which is incredible. So check this out, it's an amazing offer. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is surface slide. It's a really simple tool, okay? In order for these tools in Machine Tools to work, which is something that confuses a lot of people, you need to enable them in the menu. By default, Machine Tools comes with everything disabled, or most of it. You need to enable what you want to use, right? And it comes with preset shortcuts, and I would suggest you keep the shortcuts originally. So I wouldn't touch shortcuts and change them, especially when you're using multiple add-ons, because eventually you're gonna run into conflicts, and most of the add-ons are designed in a way not to conflict with one another, okay? Especially those I'm using. So I'm not using any custom shortcuts, not a single custom shortcut I'm using for my add-ons, right? Here you can see my tools that are enabled, but in order for the surface slide to work, you need to enable surface slide. We're also going to enable focus because we need it for this video. Edge constraint, this is only for the Deus Ex version, which I suggest you get because it's freaking cool. And then you also need the alignment pie and align tool, and also need to enable the cursor and origin pie here, okay? And save prefs, you're good to go. So let's grab a sphere, and I want to show you how this works, right? So let's say that I wanted to, create a cut here in the middle, right? Through this sphere, okay? And I applied it, and put some bevel on it. It's gonna break the geometry, obviously, and we would need to fix the geometry, around this in order to fix the shading. So now normally when you slide verts and edges on the surface, right, you need to press GG to slide them. So you click on a vert and then GG and slide it on the surface, right? That's a lot of clicks. Now if you enable surface slide, which is here, so you press tab, it's in the mode spy, so you need to have a mode spy enabled as well. If you enable surface slide, you don't have to press GG, you just slide things, and they're gonna slide on the surface, on the existing curvature of your mesh. So watch. If I select multiple verts here like this, right, and I'm going to slide them, they're gonna slide on the surface. Obviously there is a limit how far you can push this, but you can nudge things a little bit. So it's really quick for, fixing topology like this. I can nudge this one, maybe combine this one with one. That's another tool from Machine Tools, which is called Cleanup, which is fantastic. You can slide it here, and you see I don't have to go GG up and GG right. I just, click on this vert and move it in here, okay? Normally I would need to go GG and go up, GG and go here. See what I mean? Saves time. This tool is phenomenal, and it works for other things. Like, for example, if I have a cylinder, right? And let's say that I wanted to convert one of these, let's just add some more topology here. I wanted to convert one of these verts into a circle using hard ups and box cutter. By the way, link to hard ups and box cutter in the video description. If you want to learn how to use these add-ons and you're a bit more advanced in Blender, grab our ultimate guide to hard ups and box cutter course. It's superb. 22 hours of content, that much content. You will learn everything. You will learn more than in the documentation, because documentation, by the way, it's outdated. So good luck learning these add-ons from documentation. So this is the only up-to-date and practical approach to the software that will teach you what you need to know and then everything else that you may want to know. So anyway, grab the course, link in the video description. Now look, watch this, right? So if I went here and created a circle with hard ups, and let's just, scroll it down, and then I wanted to, align these verts on a surface. I would normally use surface slide, but I want to show you something, right? Let's say that this circle wasn't really, that well arranged. It was kind of like messed up, and I wanted to make it round. So I would use the loop tools tool from Blender and, click on circle, which is going to align all my verts into a circle. The problem is that it's going to flatten the surface. You see what happened? It flattened the surface, right? Now watch what's going to happen when I'm going to enable surface slide, right? I enable this, and then I go to loop tools and circle, and now you see it didn't flatten the surface, it's actually conformed to the curvature. So this tool is incredible for so many different uses when you're trying to fix topology. And now I can rotate this circle in any in any alignment here, because it's going to be sliding on the surface. It's going to be sliding on the curvature of this cylinder. Watch. Do you see what I mean? So, and you can also move it up and down, right? So you can move it somewhere here, whatever you want. So it's a very, very powerful tool. Next tool I want to talk about is Align, and this one is incredible. I mean, it's just mental. There are two of them. It's Align Pi and Align Tool. Align Pi works in edit mode, Align Tool works in object mode. So don't get confused, okay? Now let me show you how the Align Pi works. It's crazy. So let's say I get this cube here and it's completely messed up, right? I mean, it's totally, off the hook, right? Off the chain. And I wanted to align it back into a cube, and you can do that as long as you have a reference of, of the positioning, right? So you want to enable the Align Pi, and you activate it by pressing Alt A. So you click on the vert you want to align, and then a vert you want to align to. You need to align yourself to a view because it's view based, and you press Alt A and you align to the vert. So in this case, to the bottom. And now we're going to be able to align this vert to this one, right? To the bottom. And then we're going to be able to align them on a z-axis. Boom. And that's a square. Now we're going to align this one here. So we're going to align it to the bottom and the left, right? And we're going to align this one here. And then we're going to align this one to the top, this one to the bottom, and you're back in a cube. That easy, right? That easy. Now, this Pi has many more uses. You can use more advanced tools in here. You can watch my other two videos, which is like 1 hour each on YouTube. One is for the tools and one is for the Pi menu. And I'm talking a bit more in depth in these videos on these tools. You also have axes. And this is quite interesting too, because you can use axis-based alignments. I'm not really using it that often, but the options that you have available here are crazy, and they will allow you to align literally anything, even your mom, okay? So, look into that, it's fantastic. Now let me show you how the Align tool works. So Align tool works only in object view, right? So if I had a cylinder here and it was rotated like this, right? And I had another cylinder here or whatever, or a cube, and I wanted it to align to that cylinder here. Normally in Blender, I would need to move the cursor here, make sure that the cursor is aligned with the rotation, then move the, move the cylinder and align it with the cursor. It's just a lot of work, right? Now with Align tool from Machine Tools, all you need to do is select the object you want to align to the object you want to align to, and then you simply press Alt A and you're done. Because now you got two cylinders occupying the same space, right? So if I click on one, it's inside. So what you can do now is scale it, right? Move the cursor to the big one. So move cursor to Geo, right? Which is going to be to selected. There we go. So now, for example, what I can do is grab this cylinder in the middle, right? I can go to Q menu, Mesh Tools, and Control click on Radial Array, and then press D and do something like this, which is pretty cool. So anyway, Align tool, very useful when you want to very quickly align your stuff to the same rotation, and the location of an object in space. Fantastic. Next one, let's talk about edge constraint. This one is quite interesting. Now, the very basic use of this tool would be For example, when you want to move a face without moving the geometry around it. So watch this, right? It's kind of like a shearing tool, but it has way many more uses. So watch this, Alt R, and I can do this, which is fantastic because normally in Blender, if I rotate the face, you see that my geometry is gonna shift, right? With Alt R, it doesn't shift. You can hold Control, by the way. You can snap it to places, which is phenomenal. If you press Shift, it's gonna zero it. It's really cool. So now, what this really shines is with edges on stuff like cylinders, and especially when you have multiple edges or you have an edge that's uneven and you want to shift the whole structure, or you want to flatten something. So let's say that this cylinder was slightly misaligned like this, right? And you had a loop here and you wanted to rotate it, right? Now, good luck doing this in vanilla Blender, right? It's not gonna work. You could use a shear tool, but it's just nowhere near as good. So obviously by default, what you can do is, press Alt R, hold Control and shift it. But what you can, for example, do is, press Shift, right? And the Shift is going to reset it to 0 axis. So again, Alt R and hold Control and then tap Shift and it's gonna reset. You see what I mean? Now next, you can move 2 loops at the same time, which is getting more interesting, right? So select these 2 loops and then Alt R and you can do this. Now, next thing what you can do, you can scroll your mouse, you can see menu on the bottom, and you're gonna start changing the way the algorithm works. So now you can see we got this S-curve, right? So I could create something like this, and then use Alt-M macro from HardOps to, move it in, right? And I'm gonna have something like that, which is pretty cool. Now, the cool trick here is that when Blender is gonna crash, that's the cool trick. Fucking Blender, man. Anyway, let's go back. Yes, so Shift I and let's grab a cylinder and let's get back to business here. So here where it gets interesting. Watch this. Now you can combine 2 tools at the same time. I'm gonna turn on Surface Slide and I'm going to move some of this stuff around, right? So I'm gonna grab these and move them up, right? And you have to be careful because they might be moving left and right as well. So you can press Z and you can move it up and down. You can also select one of these faces, choose the orientation, and then go GZ and GY and move it up and down using Surface Slide. So you could do it that way or just press GG, right? But what I want to show you here is that you can move this entire edge without changing its shape using Alt R as well. Watch this, right? This is pretty cool, right? Another thing you can do, you can switch it to active from median point or individual origins. You can switch it to active element and you can select an element off of which you want to, start sort of sliding it. So Alt R, and now it's going to be sliding from that edge on the left hand side, right? Now, another cool thing you can do, you can scale it down to 0, which is really useful when you, for example, fixing topology on, let's say you're cleaning a mesh for sub D and you need to move stuff on a curved surface. This tool is amazing combined with Surface Slide. So watch this. Now, if I wanted to zero that on a Z-axis, so as Z0, good luck doing this on your vanilla Blender because you're gonna get this mess, right? But with this tool, you can do it very easily. So Alt R, just make sure you are in the individual origins and global axis, right? Alt R here, and then hold Shift and tap Z and click, and boom, and Bob's your uncle, right? And then you can, keep adjusting this element. So these are the basic ways of using this tool, and they could be extremely useful. Now, imagine that, for example, you have, a topology here, right? And you have edges on this mesh, right? Let me just run the bevel here. And then I'm gonna run a knife here, right? So let's just, you can do it with box cutter very quickly. So let's just run a cut here like this, right? And I'm gonna run a knife here, right? And then we're gonna run another one here like this, right? Okay, and you want it to, kind of move them or align them. This is the perfect way of doing this, right? So you see, you can move edge or even straighten it, right, without affecting the geometry. So Alt R, Shift Z, right, and you click, and you do the same thing with this one. You can do multiple as well, right? Select both of them, Alt R, right, then Shift Z and click, and boom, everything is aligned. It's really amazing what you can do with it. Now imagine if you had the edge here in the middle, right? So there was an additional edge here running in the middle. Let me just run a cut here. Okay. Like this, right? And you wanted to align it. And you didn't want to change the shape of your model, right? So you can do this very easily here, you know, then you press Shift Z, click, and Bob your uncle, right? So very powerful tool. Cool, next one's gonna be focus. This one is really awesome. So in Blender Vanilla, right, you can enable something that's called local view. So let's say that you're working on something, right? You have 4 elements and you want to isolate one of them, right? Or 2 of them. And you press / on the keyboard and you go to the local view. The problem is you cannot go deeper than this. You only have one step. If you press this again, you go back to the full view. So that's the issue. Now with machine tools, with focus enabled, watch it, what you can do, right? You can grab these 3 elements and go in pressing Ctrl F. Then you're gonna see this frame around here plus the menu. And you can see here we are in multiple mode, which means we can go in multiple steps. If you switch to single, it's just like Blender Vanilla. You can select these 2, go Ctrl F, right? And select this one, go Ctrl F. Now you got multi-step, kind of like an isolation mode. And in addition, this works with mirrors. I'll show you in a minute how. And if I'm going to press Ctrl F now, click here and press Ctrl F now, click here, Ctrl F, I can go back in time, which is really cool. Now, if one of these things was mirrored, right, so I'm going to mirror this one across, okay, and I want to isolate this one, right, so go isolate these 2, let's say, or maybe these, right, so the pivot point for the mirror and the object itself, Ctrl F, I can actually recover the mirror with the unmirror function, right? You see that it's actually enable and disabling mirror here. So it kind of cleans up the interface for you to work only on the unmirrored object, because when you usually go to focus mode, you want to just have the real geometry. You don't care about the mirrored stuff because it's fake. You know, this cube on the left hand side is not geometry because it's a mirror, right? So whatever I change here changes on the left hand side, but you don't care about seeing this, especially when you have a lot of stuff in the scene. You just want to see, you know, that one thing. So yeah, this is really cool. And then Ctrl F and you're back in action. Really cool stuff, amazing tool. Now the last tool I want to show you is the cursor and origin part. This one is so fucking good. I mean, it's just like poetry, okay? I can't, there's just no way I'm modeling without this. And this tool is similar to what Blender has, but it's on steroids. Also, it has 2 menus in one, because in vanilla Blender, the Shift S menu has a lot of stuff around it that you don't care about, but also doesn't have the object origin point. You have to go to, I think, object, and the menu is somewhere here. Oh, this one, set origin. So in vanilla Blender, this menu is separated. So Shift S menu has a lot of stuff around it and a lot of junk you don't need. But you don't have this one, which is really important. And this one, you know, you have here, right? So you have to go to this menu and play with that nonsense. So this menu is so fantastic because it gives you control over everything. And since it's pie menu based, it's very quick. So if I, for example, want to, you know, move cursor to select it and then move it to cursor, this is fantastic for working with decals, for example. So if I go to cylinder and let's just go to a render view and enable our add-on, Material Works. By the way, if you want to get our add-on, it's fantastic. It will allow you to add mattes on the fly very easily, and also includes HDRIs from Alex Central. They're fantastic. If you're like me and hate nodes, I hate nodes, this is grand. So let's say I wanted to add a decal. You know, I had a, you know, chamfer here and I wanted to add a decal to the middle of this face because the decal I wanted to add was actually round. So D, and let's just add some round decal from our decal pack. And I wanted to place it perfectly in the middle. It's really easy. Shift S and cursor to face, and then this one and to cursor, done. See how fast this is? When you remember where shit is, it's so really quick. But this menu has also origin point in it, which is freaking great, because now what I can do, I can move my origin point as well. So I can go here and move my, for example, origin point to face. So for example, when I want to move cursor to origin point, I can do it very easily. Shift S, you know, to face, right, and then Shift S and cursor to origin. So not origin, sorry, to select it. That's what I want, right? So, you can move cursor very quickly. But another thing that this point menu has, right, which is extremely powerful, I think this is the best feature of this point menu, right, is the cursor alignment. Now, there is a cursor alignment feature now in Blender 4.5, but it's not nowhere near as good and fast as this one. This one is way faster and way better. So if you, for example, have a cube, right, and this cube has a slope, and you wanted to align something to this slope, you want it to create or add an object that's gonna be aligned to that face in its middle, and it's going to be on cursor, right? You need to move the cursor to the face. The problem is, if you're gonna move the cursor to the face using traditional vanilla tools, you will move the cursor to the face, but the cursor will not inherit the rotation of that face, the normals of that face, right? So if I'm going to, for example, add a cylinder now, it's going to be facing upwards, not, not 45 degrees tilt, right? Now, what the machine tools by default is doing, right, is aligning the cursor to selected face. So if this face is rotated, the normals are pointing that way, right? It's going to align along the normals. And if you don't know what normals are, it basically, there are kind of like invisible lines. You can actually make them visible if you wanted to. Where was this thing? It was somewhere here. This ones, yeah, face normals. So display these ones, right? These are normals. So you see this face normals point this way, right? So the cursor is not aligned along the normals. Now, if I move this cursor back to origin and then simply use the machine tools pie menu, Shift S, and move to face, look at the cursor orientation. By default, it's going to orient itself in a way that I want it to be oriented. So when I'm going to add a cylinder and move it to cursor, it's gonna automatically align itself like this, which is really great, right? So I can use this pie menu to my advantage, which is really powerful, okay? So that's one. And if you don't want cursor to get aligned to your face, you want it to stay, stay straight, all you need to do is hold Alt when you're doing it. So if I'm gonna move this cursor again back to origin and select this face, and I wanna move the cursor to the face without it, it being aligned to it, you press Shift S, you hold Alt, right, and you click on face, and boom, it's going to get moved and it will not get aligned. This is a very quick way of working, and I'm using this tool a lot when I'm modeling, especially when I want to align stuff. And once you get this into your muscle memory, this becomes so freaking quick, especially when you don't have to deal with this tab 1, 2, 3 nonsense in vanilla Blender, because now you can, do all that through pie menu. So you got pie menu that you just press tab and move your mouse, left, vert, top, solid, right, face, bottom, edge. I don't have to think about it, it's muscle memory, right? And if I want to move something to a face, it's Shift S to face, and then I can simply move something to cursor. So if I create a cube and it's somewhere here, all I need to do is this, to cursor, right? So boom, to cursor, I'm done. And I can keep working very quickly, with these add-ons. Then you got hard ups and box cutter for for booleans. It's so quick when you use these add-ons. You're so devastatingly quick, it's insane. We estimate that you're gonna be 8 times quicker working with these add-ons. This is exactly what we teach you in the hard ups and box cutter course 2.0, to become 8 times faster working with these add-ons than without them. And if you really value your time, and you should, then you should be getting them. And I highly recommend our course because it's the best source from which you can learn about add-on workflow in Blender. We specialize in add-on workflows. Even our sub-D course is heavily based on add-on workflow, because that's the only way intelligent people should be working in Blender, using add-ons and all the tools that you can use to basically make your life easier and less frustrating. I mean, as an artist, I can tell you that I hate being slowed down by tools. Like, for example, think about it. If you have Cube, right, and you want to add bevel to it, this is infuriating, because what you need to do is you go here, you need to find the damn thing under where it's generate, bevel. Then you need to change it to 3 segments, right? Because what the hell you're gonna do with 1 segment, unless you're doing mid-poly modeling, that's useless. Then you have to go to geometry and switch the sharp here, miter, to arc. Otherwise, the corners of booleans, right? So if you run a boolean here in the middle, you'll see what I mean. They'll look like crap with the miter set to sharp. You see what I mean? You're gonna get this nonsense, and you're like, what the hell is wrong with my mesh? Well, that's what's wrong with your mesh. And then, you know, you need to go ahead and collapse all this nonsense and then go again here and go to normals and add weighted normal modifier and make sure it's in the bottom, because otherwise your mesh is going to be messed up. Now, if you're using, for example, hard ops, you know, the same operation is bevel, edit, weighted normals, done. Do you know what I mean? So get the course, link in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.